All right, in this video, we're going to turn this little Lego ATV into a radio control ATV by cannibalizing the parts of this little drone. The idea is we're going to place the innards of this, which should fit. We're going to drill out the wheels and place the motors on each side of the vehicle. And if everything works out, as we were to rotate the rudder on the drone, woohoo, we will rotate the car and we'll hopefully get proportional steering. First I removed the props and started cracking the case open. It wouldn't come off, so I immediately started hacking away at it with clippers. I later realized that there was actually 4 tiny screws on the underside that I didn't see, so I felt like an idiot for not looking more carefully, but after I finally got that open, I was able to get the board out and kind of fit it up next to the Lego piece for size. The motors were about the same size as the existing axle, so that looked good. I'm thinking we cut this off here and here, tap it to put in a hole at the bottom, and we use that to attach back to the wheels. That'll take some pretty fine cutting, but we'll see if we can do that. With the piece clamped down, I took a crafting saw and sawed off both side axles. Here with the digital calipers, I'm measuring the width of the motor so that I can find the proper drill bit size so I can drill out the holes to fit them. I carefully drilled out the holes on both sides, starting off with a smaller bit as a pilot hole and then moving up to the full diameter bit. Here I'm struggling with the drill bit just slightly off screen. The Legos kept separating and the hole wasn't getting created properly. So here's my existential struggle. I'm slowly realizing that there's no way to drill this cleanly, and I will have to break out the super glue. After I got over that depression, it was time to drill out a center top hole so that I can run the wires from the back of the motors back up through the Lego piece over to where the controller board would be mounted. I'm using a Tamiya hobby drill, which comes as a kit that you build and then you can use it for making things. It's nice and slow and gives a more controlled drill than a normal hand power drill would. Here I am gluing the axles that I cut off back into the wheels, and since I got over that super glue thing, I glued them into place. I would later tap this with a smaller bit so that they could be connected to the motors. To quote the thing from the Fantastic Four, it's soldering time. I think that's how it goes, right? I'm tinning some 28 gauge wire to tack onto the motors to make them longer so that there'll be enough room to reach the controller board and still be able to move the thing around. Now the wires have been extended, and it's time that I start pushing the wires through the holes I drilled earlier. With the wires through, I start soldering the wires to the controller board. The final step was to drill new holes into the wheels so that the motors could be fitted to them. This ended up being the hardest part of the build, actually. The size of the motor's shaft was 0.7 millimeters, so I had to use a really small bit, and it was actually too small for my hobby drill, and I had to use a pan of ice, which is basically a handheld drill chuck, and slowly turned it by hand. Eventually the holes did get drilled, but for the left wheel it was actually slightly off, which caused a wobble in the tire, and you can notice it during the testing, but it still drives okay. The holes I drilled actually ended up being slightly loose, so I tried some blue thread locker and that didn't work. Here's a pro tip: you can actually use real thread and a little bit of glue to fill up a hole and tighten it up just a little bit. After that, everything stuck in really well. Okay, this is to show the throttle. If I push the throttle forward, both wheels should spin. And then if I want to turn right and go all the way to the right and just up a little, we should see that the left wheel should spin more than the right wheel. There we go. And if I do the reverse, we should see the right wheel turn more than the left. Oh, that's too much gas. Now they're both turning. There we go. Right there. All right, and again, both. Here's a straight speed run. It accelerates slowly but then picks up speed, and I probably slow down around there so I don't hit the end. And here's a left turn test. It also starts off slow and then turns really sharply at the end. This is a little size comparison. There's the Top Gear rally car. There's a Mini Z, my little ATV, and the Tommy Bitchargy right at the edge there. I hope you enjoyed watching that build and drive. This guy is now my smallest working RC. It used to be this one, but this broke. The biggest RC I have is that Arma Felony, which I'm hoping to review very soon. Have a couple issues with that. I'm still waiting for the batteries to come in too. But this guy, I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. He drives and turns, although poorly. If I bought this in a store, I would be kind of upset about it, but since this is kind of something that I just came up with on a whim, I think it did pretty good for a proof of concept. You can control an RC car with a drone board. However, of course, this would have been better had I actually gotten a RC car controller board. I do think it's possible to find one small enough to fit, and if enough people want to see a version 2 video, I think I will order some parts. Yeah, like and subscribe if you want to see it. Give me some motivation to make some more videos. If you look at the wheelbase, you can see that the motors are pretty much touching each other already, so in order to keep this wheelbase, I don't think there's much bigger motors you can get. The acceleration starts off really slow, but speeds up as it goes along, and it's actually kind of charming that way. Yeah, overall he kind of just makes up for it in cuteness, and I think this one's gonna be sitting on my desk or shelf for a long time. Alright, thanks for watching.